Welcome back, everyone, to another virtual 1 Million Cups Bentonville. Thank you for joining us wherever you are, wherever you're watching from, however you're watching us this morning. My name is Caleb. I'm the Director of Marketing and Events for Startup Junkie, but I'm a proud 1 Million Cups Bentonville organizer. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with 1 Million Cups, new to our program, 1 Million Cups was created on the notion that entrepreneurs discover solutions and engage with their communities over a million cups of coffee. So I hope everyone is well caffeinated this morning or working on being caffeinated. The Kauffman Foundation developed 1 Million Cups in 2012 as a free program designed to educate, engage, and inspire entrepreneurs around the country. Through the power of volunteers, 1 Million Cups has grown to more than 160 communities. So the idea is wherever you're at in the country, if it's a big enough community and you want to plug in with the entrepreneurial scene, you can go to your local 1 Million Cups and plug in and engage with innovators and entrepreneurs. And as a program of the Kauffman Foundation, 1 Million Cups works with entrepreneurs, empowering them with the tools and resources to break down barriers that stand in the way of starting and growing their businesses. So today we are glad to have with us Briana Snellgrove of Social Icon. Bree's coming to us from Pensacola, Florida. We're excited to have her. Social Icon is a firm that focuses on strategy consulting, digital marketing, branding, events. But I'm going to say that, let her tell you more about it. So without further ado, Bree, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you. Hello, Bentonville. I am happy that you guys are here this morning. Thank you so much for having me. As he said, my name is Briana Snellgrove. Friends call me Bree, so that would be fine there. I'm excited to present to you this morning. I'm the CEO of Social Icon, a strategic agency, and we are based in Pensacola, Florida. It's in the Panhandle, the only place in Florida where it's still Central Time. And so it's cool that we get to present to you guys to some really incredible people all over the United States. So a quick story about 1 Million Cups. The Pensacola chapter is very strong, but since it went virtual after the pandemic, we've actually had the opportunity to present to 15 different chapters across the United States, and it's been really awesome to have that opportunity. So thank you again for allowing us to present to you this morning. All right, so let's get started. I started Social Icon in 2014 as a solopreneur, and since its inception, it has evolved and grown. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to our team. So we have some pretty badass women on our team, and it's currently the four of us as leaders, and we have a ton of contractors and partners we work with from all walks of life, but our team is truly our family. And I've already introduced myself, but our operations manager is Cheyenne. We have our digital marketing manager, who is Katie, and Aubrey Greer is our project manager. So Social Icon, we believe that passion and persistence are essential to uncovering the best path forward in business. So by insightfully listening to clients, Social Icon crafts solutions that fit their company's goals without adding things to their plate. It's the whole goal. We're going to free our company and our clients to focus on other projects and reduce overall mental load. So I'm ready to tell you about a little bit more. I hope you are too. So here we go. So you might have heard me say strategic agency, and you might have thought to yourself, what in the ho-hum is that, right? You've heard marketing agency or branding agency, but we're a strategic agency and we're a little bit different. And so what we do is we provide strategies for clients. We've been providing all types of strategies for clients over the last 7 years. But today we provide crafted event and branding experiences to open-minded clients through practical planning and earnest conversations. And that's a really important part of our vision and value proposition. So we're helping you feel confident in your next move. Please notate that I'm going to be using several chess references throughout this presentation. So hang on for the puns. After some serious involvement over the last 6 to 8 months, we've built a diagram to give you a better depiction of exactly what services we offer. So for the first of our 4 categories, our 4 kind of mothership categories, is culture. So did you know that 89% of shoppers stay loyal to brands that share their values with the world? So that's super important. That's a study that was done for 2021. And culture for your company is made up of the values and attributes and the tone of how you communicate with people and your consumers internally and externally. Right? So the second category is going to be branding. And when you think of your company, do you feel strongly about your brand? Would you wear it? Would you present it proudly? And you certainly should. And so we'll talk more about that later. And then our third category is going to be marketing. So culture and branding are integral pieces that will be utilized to strategize your marketing for your company. And really, we have to ask ourselves, are you moving the right pieces in your gameplay? And the fourth major service category is events. So we're legitimate logistics nerds. We've built some proprietary guides and documents for clients to help them with virtual and live events. It's a huge undertaking. And so we spend a lot of time in communications, making things seamless. And we also bring some serious production quality to the table. So cool. These are the four categories: culture, branding, marketing, and events. But we also slice these into a little bit of our core service offerings for clients. So clients sometimes know they're ready to make moves, but they're unable to stop the time clock to make time for strategizing. And Social Icon provides consulting sessions for companies looking to reset the board on their timeline. Up next is web and social. So we have a whole team of creatives and coders that develop stunning websites and social media plans. And this was actually the very first service that Social Icon offered, and it still remains at the core of service for our clients. Up next, really in the last 3 years, our team has developed and flexed our ability to manage large scale events all over the country. Just in 2020 and 2021 alone, we've managed over 25 corporate events that were 100% virtual, including conferences, award banquets, networking events, fundraisers, and more. So, but we found that we ourselves had to set the board to get to this point, which is how our new service was born. So retreats. We recently orchestrated this service for our own team, and I can't wait to tell you how that worked out. So for starters, it changed the entire dynamic of our team: communication, logistics, workflow, efficiency, understanding, structure. All the things that we were dragging our feet on were resolved in a week during our retreat, and allowed us to make some serious power moves, starting with culture. So we provide numerous services, right, that we feel are a fit for our company's overall strategy. However, most companies we consult with are finding themselves in a similar position, no matter the size. They're asking themselves the same question: who are we? So no matter the product, the service, or organization, we've all experienced serious transitions, and our company included. We're human. That's the one thing that we all have in common. And sure, you knew that. However, given the global enigma in 2019, 2020, we easily forget that there is a human on the other end of the Zoom screen who may or may not be wearing pants. Upon doing more research, stats are revealing that there is a direct correlation between a positive culture for the company and its consumers, resulting in an increase in sales and brand loyalty. So how do you build and develop culture? How do you decide what that looks like? And how do we align messaging? How do we create messaging that encourages humans to care about your company as much as you do? So I want you to picture this, right? You're really trying to keep up with the day-to-day tasks, and you really need to figure out how the heck you're going to plan that management retreat that's supposed to be this summer that didn't happen last year. And there's so many options, there's so many platforms, it's exhausting, you're exhausted. And what's the point? I mean, you don't want it to feel like it's another meeting, right? We get it, we're in it, we've done it, and we're also over it. But who isn't? And everything these days is a balance of how am I going to make this enjoyable and not just another chore, because mandatory fun is at an all-time low, right? So we've got you covered, and our team sits down, we sift through your thoughts, goals, options, and help you craft a winning plan to execute your project and your retreat on a budget and a schedule. So we're deep into the best virtual platforms, Airbnb locations on top of the industry health regulations, and we're really master contingency planners ultimately. And with a goals first approach, we're determined to pull off an experience that is fun and memorable for your team. And it results in building culture and brand value without adding a ton of things to your inbox, your plate, your mental load. So let's dissect what happened with our own retreat. So we tested this on our own company, and for 5 days, this is what went down. For 5 days, our entire team stayed in an Airbnb. We have a team member that's in Seattle, some that are on the other side of the county. We brought everybody into the same Airbnb for 5 days. We set aside 2 mornings and 2 afternoons to cover teamwork for our company needs. We booked meditation and yoga, which led to a vulnerability session. It really connected our team as humans with empathy. There was some crying, but it was also wonderful. We established the goals and benchmarks for the year, and we had a lot of fun, right? And so we made some adjustments. And what we were able to do was to set checkpoints and deadlines to meet the goals and needs that we had, added accountability exercises to our weekly meetings. We revamped our social media, our website, our services packages, and it looked like something incredible, right? It looked like this. So this is what it looks like. It looks like matching branded shirts, a silly team game that lasted all week. It still lasts in meetings today. Hello, ladies. Good morning. Talking with each other as equals. It also looked like homemade margaritas and plastic Christmas cups in February, because why not? They were also delicious, right? So we had the opportunity to really get to know one another, and we became so effective that we decided to offer a strategy retreat as a service, right? So we worked with other clients who have seen fantastic changes and modifications for their company. And after taking a team retreat and making it, it's really a thought leadership vacation. So do you lead a team of creatives that need to breathe color, nature, and Zen into their lives? We've got a garden retreat that may be best for your team. Do you have a team that sits in cubicles or desks the majority of their day? Take them somewhere where the ocean meets the sky. We've got a lot of that down here in Florida. Take the coastal retreat. Or maybe your team has been working through Zoom for the last 12 months and you really need a stronger team building activity and exercise and week for your retreat, and maybe let's go to the mountains. And ultimately, that may not always be something that's in the budget, and you may have some travel restrictions, and that's okay. Our team has performed virtual retreats, which are led thoughtfully and seamlessly through one of our unique platforms. So if you were to do a retreat with Social Icon, here's what you can expect. It's a refreshed team who your team is excited to work on new projects and goals. You've got aligned messaging, which is a huge part of that, and you're able to understand the roles and responsibilities that you've given to your team. You set tangible goals and benchmarks, and we give all those in the deliverables and takeaways for you and your team to look at. We have check-in meetings with you guys afterwards, and you really have a revived view of your company brand and culture, which is so necessary right now with all the changes that we've been experiencing in the last 12 months. The focus areas include branding, messaging, goals, fundraising, services, products, consumer, and ultimately culture. So one of the things that we're doing, this is kind of a new service, and we worked with a couple of companies. So the one thing that we're wanting to ask of you guys today is that there's a ton of pricing variables, right? The number of team members, the number of days on the retreat, offsite or onsite, the food choices that people have, the Airbnb locations, the deliverables needed for the focus areas. And so what would be helpful for us is for you guys to work with us on giving us feedback on, is this something that your company would invest in, and how much would you pay for it if you did? And does your company already have some sort of annual retreat budget or conference that stands? And do you think that this would add value to what you're doing already? So I appreciate you guys letting us hang out with you in Bentonville, Arkansas today, over from Florida. And I'm really excited to take questions.
Awesome, Bria. Appreciate the presentation. That was fantastic. And now I'm eager to go on a retreat and do some traveling. There's kind of a delay here from our stream to Facebook Live. So I'll go ahead and start with some questions. One that's fresh on my mind is Startup Junkie, the organization, my day job. We have a couple of core values. One is have fun, and another is take care of the team. And it seems like those retreat packages kind of encompass two of those things. Why is that so important to you and for your team to promote taking care of the team and having fun at the same time?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that one of the major things that came out of our retreat was the tone of how we speak to clients. And so we kind of set the tone of what does the company tone look like overall, so that everyone's on the same page. And one of our actual terms for our company tone is jest or jester. We kind of have this, and we're spirited. We have we like to have fun. We play pranks on each other all the time. It really keeps things lighthearted, because they're in agency work, and I'm sure you've kind of experienced this in the entrepreneur world. You're going to have days that suck. There's going to be days that anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and for those days, you've got to be able to pull from the deepest parts of, how can we pull in some fun? How can we pull in some jest? How can we pull the spirits out of having losing a client, or having 6 contracts to deal with, or moving through events, or so there's a ton of things that have to be moved and shaped in entrepreneurship, and making sure you add that element of fun is crucial to keeping happy employees, happy team members, and ultimately happy customers.
Morgan has a question in the comments. She said, does your team actually facilitate the retreats, or do you provide the questions, objectives, activities, that sort of thing?
So we can do it one of 2 ways. We can actually be on site, and that was part of the price variability. So we can be on site to facilitate the actual retreats themselves on site, or we can run that virtually. Now, if we were to run it virtually, we set you up with all the parameters of the things that you would need. But typically we make sure that there's a big whiteboard, that everyone has their notebook to work with. We kind of have some activities that we lead to that whole thing. So the structure is kind of set up with, if it is 5 days, and we have some options for less days, that you have 2 mornings and 2 afternoons that are 4 hours apiece. So it's like a 2-hour break, 2-hour, or an hour and a half break, hour and a half. So that way there's kind of an opportunity, and we have different things that happen during those sessions. So audience analysis, going through the messaging, what is the tone, is the service really a service that aligns with what your company offers now. So for us, social media marketing and websites are something that we offer, but we really found that starting with the consulting on the strategy really helps everyone get clarity on what they should be marketing. So that's kind of what drove this bus of moving into retreats, because there's a lot of people who are on different pages since the pandemic. Everyone's kind of working in piecemealing. And so to get back to your question, but yeah, we absolutely can do that on site. The price is different to do it on site, but and we also can do it virtually. So for our particular retreat, we actually had a brand strategist who came in virtually for us, and our team was at an Airbnb. So we were able to facilitate that virtually for her, and then us being in person.
Awesome. And if you're watching, feel free to drop your questions in the comments, and we'll ask live. I had another question. You put in your 1 Million Cups application that one of the toughest questions or hardest questions you get is how Social Icon, excuse me, as a relatively smaller organization helps significantly larger organizations. Excuse me.
Yeah, absolutely. I told you that was a hard one. You had to, no, I was kidding. So what was really interesting when the pandemic hit was there was a ton of larger companies who did not have the opportunity to pivot on a dime, because they had to worry about laying people off. They had to worry about PR. They had to worry about communicating with people. Where's everyone going to go? Getting people equipment to work at their homes. And so because we were a smaller, leaner, meaner team, we were able to pivot incredibly quickly into virtual. So we had the opportunity to work with a lot of larger companies a lot faster than some of these others. And we spent that first kind of 60 days after the pandemic kind of hit the hardest, researching every type of platform that we could to really understand the tech that's available out there. So for us, having the opportunity to provide virtual events, conferences, things that are seamless for that, it gave us the ability to service folks in New York, folks in South Carolina, a lot of our larger companies here in town, a cable company. We service the university here for a lot of their events, and so it's been fun for us, but it also required us to do some growing, which I think that's probably the hardest part of any entrepreneur company is scaling. So we're lean and mean, but we're all working to the gills most of the time. So.
Understand that. And we talked about this off camera beforehand, but I'm just interested to hear you speak to just kind of what you're seeing in regards to people's engagement levels with virtual versus in-person events.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of various responses to that. So we had mentioned before we got on today that we still have demand for virtual conferences and virtual events that are specific to fields that are have higher awareness of contagions and germs and the virus, which would be the medical field. A lot of these larger corporations have stronger restrictions just to because they have a large mass of employees that are working for them. And so we're working with some of these companies that are what I call higher on the spectrum of fear of it being spread. So as far as engagement goes, I would say, I don't have a specific statistic, but just from my own experience, that there's definitely some serious Zoom fatigue, and it's kind of been a roller coaster, because when we first did pandemic, the first 3 months, and we're like, oh, we have a virtual platform, the demand was more than we could ever handle. And about 3 months after that, people were like, oh, it's going to go away. And then it got worse. So we had another spike in demand. And now with the vaccine coming out, with a lot of studies coming out with folks that either have had the vaccine or they were tested and wore masks at like big concert events, and there not being a show of spread of the virus, there certainly is a lift of the fear or reduction in fear, I would say. And but that doesn't mean that a virtual event can't be engaging. And I think a lot of that has to be prepped in the marketing of your event. So one of the things I often see people miss on virtual events is they send out a link to register and then you don't see anything else about it. And if you've done any event marketing, that's something that you have to treat it just like you would a live event. You have to announce the new speakers. You have to send videos prior to. You've got to do some promotional materials to remind people that the event is coming and what's exciting about it, right? So, I feel like virtual events kind of get the shaft on the event promotions because, people feel like there's not as much to do, but we've seen some successful events happen using the proper marketing and use that engagement ahead of time. You can do gaming, gamification is a big deal. And really it depends on the type of platform you use. Are they able to plug in mobily? They have to sit at their desktop to watch it. Is there any other content somewhere else that they can just plug in their headphones and put it in their pocket? So it's kind of a combination of understanding who your audience is and properly using that agenda to keep engagement going.
And I know your time is limited, so this was the last audience question we'll take. It's from Morgan. It's a two-parter. How often do you recommend an organization revisit their values, strategies, etc.?
Oof. So right now is a big, a very large window of opportunity to do that. We like to visit ours probably about every year. And it really depends on, the market analysis that we're doing, with retreats. And we've evolved into several services as demand has increased. So we did a couple of events for some of our clients who were authors. They were self-published, and we did a couple of grand opening events for them. Once we did a couple of those, it was word of mouth, and the demand started to grow for larger things. And so I think it really is it's a judgment call. But typically revisiting that stuff about once a year, and you should have it somewhere where people can read it all the time. How are how are we aligning to it? And we have end of week and our beginning of week and end of week meetings, and sometimes we'll throw in, hey, don't forget, this is who we are. This is our values. Here's our value proposition, just to kind of give people a reminder of, okay, it's been a tough week, but our clients need to see that we're spirited. We have jest, we have openness, and we really want to have earnest conversations about where their marketing can take them and what their project is looking like. So absolutely. I mean, I think it's a judgment call, but I think that you should revisit them very soon, and you should call me when you do that, and I'd be happy to help.
And she also has do fundraising strategy retreat sessions with nonprofits.
Oh yes, absolutely. There are so many cool things for nonprofits right now, as far as, and I think those organizations are probably the ones that are having the hardest time. They have some really strong leaders, but a lot of their leaders are trying to put out fires daily, right? They're trying to raise funds desperately because they've lost so much. They're trying to find volunteers, and they're trying to put on events, which is such a hard recipe to cook right now as far as where they are with the pandemic. And so I feel for you guys, and that's something absolutely, we do some nonprofit pricing. And so if that's something you guys are interested in taking a look at, let me know.
Awesome. And of course, the 1 Million Cups conclusion question is, what can we as a community do to help you, Bri?
Yeah, so any sort of feedback is welcomed. You feel free to send me an email and connect. If you have anyone that you can think of that is a fit for this service, that'd be great. Please let me know. And I really just hope that everybody is able to stick to their values and can really work through the next couple of months with a good spirit, because I know that it's been a tough challenge getting back into the swing of things.
Absolutely. And I just dropped your website link, and as well as the link to your podcast YouTube link in the comments on Facebook. So
Awesome.
We appreciate you for joining us this morning. Enjoyed learning more about Social Icon. Encourage anyone to reach out to you through the website there. Drop the link in the comments for more information. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in this morning. Thank you to Jacob, who you can't see, who's working the controls behind the scenes. We appreciate you, Jacob. Everyone have a great day.